What are all the things that you should know about the entire Phoenix, Arizona area? Well, I'm glad you asked because this video is going to address that. Phoenix is a big city. This is a big video. The lights are shining bright. Let's go. So we took a poll of a bunch of people and we asked the question, what are the things you wish you would have known that you know now about the Phoenix, Arizona area that other people would benefit from knowing at this time? Well, I'm glad you asked because in no particular order, we're going to cover those things right now because they showed up consistently as answers to that poll question. But first, guys, if you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe or smash it, that button if you don't mind, and get us out to more people who hopefully will find our videos. Ring the bell. We're putting out 2 videos every single week so you get notified when those come on your smart device or your desktop, whatever works best for you. All right, guys, let's jump in here. Now, we're going to start with the first thing here on the list in no particular order, none of importance that is, because they're all important. You should know everything that has to do with these aspects because they're coming straight from people who already experienced Phoenix and lived here, at least for a portion of time, or currently do live here. That first thing is going to be they wish they would have known just how spread out Phoenix is. That's right, guys. Phoenix is 517 square miles, which makes it in the top 5 of the largest cities across America. It is huge. It is larger than the landmass of Los Angeles, actually. It's spread out. So taking it into perspective, if you live in the far northwest quadrant of the valley, the Phoenix area, and you're making a drive all the way down to the southeast quadrant of the valley, that is going to take, on average, plus or minus with maybe some traffic, about an hour and a half one way from edge to edge. That could be a little more, a little less, depends on traffic. It is a spread out valley, the Valley of the Sun, they call it. So things are spread out. Now, there's this running joke when living in Phoenix of everything is 15 minutes away. That's right, everything is just 15 minutes away. Now, obviously, depending where you live, some things are much closer than that, like the grocery store or a gas station. But in general, everything you really need in Phoenix is about 15 minutes away. They do a good job with the grid system and how Phoenix was developed. They do a really good job of making sure that your essential services and even some entertainment or luxury services are still not that far away. So in addition to that grid system that you have rolling through most of the Phoenix area, you also have a very efficient interstate system. So you have interstates, major interstates that go across America that cut through Phoenix, like the I-10 and I-17. You also have a loop interstate system. So if you can look on the map right here, you see what I'm talking about. You have the 101 loop, which goes around the North Valley of the Phoenix area. Then on the East Valley and to the south, you have a 202 loop that goes all the way from the East Valley Mesa all the way south and down through and up to the West Valley where it connects to the I-10. And then on top of that, you have a 303 loop, guys. Getting the picture here, at one point there's probably going to be a 404 loop. I'm telling you, I'm making a prediction. If I have money to bet, I'm going to do it, guys. You should put your money on that too because I guarantee it's coming at some point in the future. But there's a 303 loop, which is outside the belt of the 101 loop. That is a half loop right now because they haven't finished it. And it goes on the west side where the I-10 is, all the way cutting to the Northwest Valley up to the I-17 in far north Phoenix. So guys, this is a very well laid out city, but things are spread out. So just be aware of that when you come to Phoenix. You're gonna need a car, and ideally one that gets good gas mileage. The next thing that people said was very important, that came up multiple times, was I wish I knew about the different type of animals here in the Phoenix area, the desert. And we'll cover a few of those right now. Probably the one that's the most feared, honestly, above and beyond the diamondback rattlesnake, that one's up there too, are scorpions. That's right, guys, there are scorpions in the Phoenix area. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Are they everywhere? No, they aren't. They typically are found more common in places that are mountainous, or potentially if you live in a house next to an area where the ground is constantly getting tilled up and disturbed because they live a lot of times in just under the ground, like a landscaping nursery or something like that. If you live close by one of those, there's a higher probability you may have scorpions or more scorpions in your yard, in your house, things of that nature. Now, the best way to get rid of scorpions is to kill their food source. Their number one primary food source are crickets. So the minute you hear that chirping, call the pest guy up and make sure he or she gets out there. Now, the better thing to do is have a routine monthly pest service come to your house, at least on a monthly basis, You can do every 2 months, but monthly is a little better. And they just hopefully ensure that those critters don't get inside your house. I've been living here in Phoenix now for, almost 19 years total. I moved here in 2004, and there was one house I lived in that had, I'd say probably get 2 or 3 scorpions a year inside the house. Not bad, but we could have done some things to actually prevent that. We didn't have pest control every month. We had it every other month, number one. Number two, we had a big tree in the front yard with the overhanging of the limbs actually touched the roof. That's a no-no. Cut back your trees from your roof. Critters can, it's like a highway for them, right? They can go up there. And number three, we never had the bottom of our house sealed. So in Arizona, most homes don't have basements, so you have a flat slab of concrete the house is built on. Well, the wall, if this is the edge of the concrete slab, the wall will stick out a little bit over the concrete slab, and then it goes under, it's called a weep screen, and then down to the concrete slab. Well, this area right under here should be sealed with some silicone or by your pest guy, whatever, all the way on the house. That perimeter will help bugs from getting up on the ground, up that little stem wall, which is about 4 to 6 inches, and then into the house. So we never did that. So we could have done some things to help that, but nonetheless, we would get about 2 a year. Somewhere in that ballpark. But the house I've lived in now since 2013, 10 years ago, we've never had one, not one in 10 years. So it just depends on the maintenance you do and the area of town you live in potentially. So keep that in mind. The other one real quick is the diamondback rattlesnake. We just touched on that. That is in the desert. So there are rattlesnakes. They primarily come out in the summertime more often. But again, you don't see them around the subdivisions very often and houses as much. You do need to watch out for them if you're playing golf and hit it into the desert, which I'm sure most of you don't do. I never do that, so I would never see a rattlesnake. But they also will be on hiking trails in the mountains potentially. So a lot of people will take sticks and that sort of thing just to maybe keep the rattlesnakes at bay if they come across one. But typically, again, they're not on the trails. They're just in the mountains that you probably will never see or hear. But you got to be aware of them when you're hiking in especially more remote areas and it's hot out. We'll cover 3 more animals really quick. The next one is a javelina. It is a wild pig. They have tusks right here and they are wild. Literally, they're wild. And you always see them pretty much running with a pack. They will not bother you if you don't bother them, but don't bother them because they are ferocious. They are nasty and they can be dangerous. So stay away from the javelinas if you see them in the desert. The next one we're gonna cover is the bobcat. Guys, pound for pound, the bobcat, they say, is the toughest animal out there. Again, it won't bother you if you don't bother it, but you will see bobcats running around different areas in residential areas and homes every once in a while. They're actually kind of cute, to be honest with you. Just keep your distance because they can be kind of mean if they feel threatened. The last animal we'll cover really quick because it's a safety issue are coyotes. And the reason why is because a lot of people have dogs for pets or even cats. Cats are a lot quicker, but like small dogs, you have to be careful if you have a small dog and you let it out in your backyard. Even if you have a block wall, that like most homes do, that are about 6 feet high, coyotes can actually jump a 6-foot block wall into your backyard, and they will go after a small dog if they see it. So I would highly advise that if you have a small dog, be very careful about that. Monitor your dog if you take him out to use the restroom, things of that nature in your backyard. If you have a mid-sized, a big dog, no worries, but the small dogs are a problem potentially for coyotes if you know they have them in the area and they're out alone in the backyard for an extended period of time. The next thing that is mentioned quite a bit is people wish they would have known more about northern Arizona. Now, this is not a Phoenix issue because obviously northern Arizona is just that, and Phoenix is in the center, more so the center of the state, in the Valley of the Sun. But northern Arizona is quite diverse. Now, we have several videos on northern Arizona on our YouTube channel, so I really recommend to check those out. But the reality is that they're really quick. There are some really cool smaller towns or cities in northern Arizona. The main one I would say is Flagstaff because it is truly like living almost in Colorado. High elevated town, larger town. The University of Northern Arizona is there, and which is a pretty big sized school, and it's a decent sized town with a lot of cool things to do, a lot of great restaurants in Flagstaff. And the cool part is they have a ski lift there called Snowbirds. So you can actually be in Phoenix in, I don't know, January when it's beautiful and 77 degrees and sunny. You can drive 2 hours up the hill, up the mountain, up to I-17, up to Flagstaff, and it could be 22 degrees snowing and you're snowboarding or skiing down a pretty darn good mountain A couple other towns that are definitely noteworthy are Payson, Prescott, Sedona is beautiful, all the red rocks, beautiful. Oak Creek Canyon, oh, amazing in Sedona. And then you have Williams, you have the Grand Canyon up in northern Arizona. It's just a really cool place, and the temperature is different too. So if you want a variety of temperature, you get that all within one state. The next thing that people talk about a ton is the water issue in Arizona. Where does the water come from? You live in the desert. Is it sustainable? All these questions about water for the Phoenix area, and rightly so. They are valid questions, and if you're going to come create a lifestyle in Phoenix, you're going to maybe invest some money, dollars into housing, into Phoenix, that sort of thing. You want to know it's sustainable. And how do you know? Well, here's the sources that water comes from currently in Phoenix, and it may not be what you think. Currently, you have 38%. That's it. 38% of all water comes from the Colorado River, along with 4 to 5 other states in the Southwest that all also get their water from the Colorado River, which I know is declining. It is low, but this one year we had this past year was really good for rainfall and snow. So that is going to help a little bit, although we're in a drought of multiple years. So, but again, that one year does help a little bit. Hopefully we can have more years of better snow and better rain. But 38% from the Colorado River, you have 41% coming from groundwater. That's right, we have an aquifer system under the city of Phoenix in the ground. And so we draw plenty of water, and the aquifers are very full. In fact, we have so many million acre feet of water underground in those aquifers that the director of the Department of Water Resources for Arizona said that we have enough water in there currently with our current consumption to last us at least another 100 years. So that's really good stuff. So again, 41% from groundwater, we have 16% from local rivers, and we have 5% as reclaimed water. So the good news is in doing all the research, they said our water usage today, even with all the additional population that has increased over the last several decades, we are currently at the same water consumption usage that we were in 1960. That's right, primarily because of farmland. Farmland has dissipated in Arizona. Technology has gotten better for some of these commercial farms. You went away from all these mom and pop small farms to these commercial farms where the technology and the water is better used and not just sucking everything from the ground. And you have less farmland too, to an extent, because you have more housing, you have more population and growth, things of that nature. So overall, those are all good signs. We're going in the right direction. In fact, did you know, fun fact, that Phoenix is actually the #2 city in the entire world when it comes to water conservation, just behind Tel Aviv in Israel. Another thing that comes up a lot, guys, are snowbirds. Now, these aren't like some type of bird that flies around and you just happens to be called a snowbird. No, that's not what they are. Snowbirds are people who live in northern states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, etc., and they come down to live temporarily for part of the season in Phoenix. So they might be here 1 month, 3 months, 6 months when it's the prime weather, and then they go back to their house in the Midwest or East Coast during the summer months when it's a lot hotter down here and cooler up there. So good for them, that's awesome. But a lot of people don't like that because they notice the more traffic is on the freeways. They notice that the driving isn't quite as good. They notice a lot of things. Restaurants are more packed and all that fun stuff. So again, some people said, you know what, I'm not a big fan of the snowbirds. Other people, like small business owners, love the snowbirds because they inject a ton of money into Arizona's local economy when they come down for that period of time, especially prime time between January and March when there's the most of them. And so they do provide a lot of positive things for the Arizona local economy. So overall, the jury's out. I personally don't mind it because I don't mind a few extra cars on the road. And I'm a small business owner, so I like the additional funds that drive the economy with them coming down to spend their money here in Arizona. Another thing is the heat. No, not just the heat. We all know it's hot here. It's the desert. But how specifically the heat affects your electric bill, running the air conditioner all the time, your utilities, things of that nature. Now, number one, a lot of homes are going to solar. Now, you don't have to do that. There's no initiative or anything that says you have to create or install solar when you buy a house. Nothing like that in Arizona. But a lot of people are choosing to go solar because there are still some rebates out there that make it much more affordable and things of that nature. But the cool thing about solar is that it fixes your utility costs for a certain period of time into the future. So for example, you can do a 20-year lease. That's pretty common for solar. You can buy it outright, or you can purchase it and still have payments for 20 years on a loan, let's say. But it fixes the majority of your electric bill at a certain rate for 20 years. So if the local power company raises their rates per megawatts or whatever it is, yours stays right here, at least for the part of the electricity that runs off of solar, which depends then on how big of a system you buy or lease and get installed on your roof. So you could potentially have all your electricity pretty much done by solar, which is really cool, for a flat rate across the board every month for the next 20 years. Or you can do a portion of it and have some payment that is variable based on your usage of your regular electricity. Now, outside of solar, if you're on a budget and you like keeping the same electric bill ideally every single month, you don't like this big spike of electricity going up like you would have in the summertime using the AC in Arizona, you can do that with the electric companies. Fun fact, I'm not sure how it is in other states, but in Arizona, Phoenix, they allow you to do that. So for example, they will take your prior 12 months of usage, and they will average it out and say, okay, even in January, let's say when you have the least amount of electricity being used, you're going to pay this number, which is probably more than what you normally would use because it's going to average out throughout the year, when in July it's up here. So you can do that too as well if you want to maintain that budget. They also have plans where you have energy saver plans. So for example, you have on-peak and off-peak hours. Well, in on-peak, that's when it's really expensive to use the major appliances, or really any electricity for that matter. So we have a plan in which we have from 4 to 7 p.m. where it's on peak. Every single hour of the day is off peak, and the weekends are off peak as well, which is really nice. But 4 to 7, Monday through Friday, is really expensive. So you don't run the dishwasher, you don't run, the water heater ideally, you refrain from taking showers until after the 7 p.m. You don't run the washing machine, the dryer, etc., and keep the AC as high as you can bear during those 3 hours if you can have it all dialed in. So these are things you can do to try to save some money on the heat, but there's no doubt about it, your power bill will be a lot more expensive in the summertime because of your air conditioning usage. But the good news is, in the wintertime, it's very nil because you will not use the heater that often. Well, at least a guy like me doesn't. So, and if you have a fireplace in the house that you buy and you run that off gas or wood, even wood burning, then that can potentially heat a good portion of your house. So you may not choose to use the heater at all. So you really go low on your electric bill in the wintertime, or you can when living in the Phoenix area. Okay, so another thing that comes up, which we really don't want to talk much about on this channel, we just don't want to, so I'm not even going to go into this very much, but politics. People are like, is it a red state? Is it a blue state? Is it a purple state? All these different colors. I don't know, guys. This is not a political channel, so we're not going to get into that. All I can tell you is that traditionally, Arizona has been a red state. Recently, it went a little purple, and then recently it went blue with 2 senators going to the blue side, as well as the presidential election. So that most recently happened. So that all being said, where it lies right now, I just don't know. It kind of goes back here, and then back here, and then back here. And so people want to know kind of where the different political areas within Phoenix even are. And I just don't want to comment on that because frankly, I don't really even know. I'm not an expert on that. And I know some people that have a lot of money that are one way, and people that don't have a lot of money that are the other way, and vice versa. And so it's all over the place. So I would say just Google that one, or just come on down here and just assume it's a purple state and everyone's gonna love each other. Is that possible? I hope so. That's my hope for America in general, right? So everyone love each other, okay?
Everybody love everybody. Right there up on the wall.
So segueing perfectly from politics, we're gonna go to taxes. Oh man, am I blushing yet? These are 2 hard topics back to back, but this is what people are talking about. This is what people wanna know about, so we're gonna deliver that information to you, even though it makes my skin crawl, delivering messages that are polarizing, but here we go. Taxes. Some people are for big government, some people are for small government. And I will say this, taxes in Arizona are overall, I would give 2 thumbs up. Now, it depends what you're talking about though, because car registration taxes are higher than most states across the country. Sales tax, higher than most places across the country. In fact, Arizona has a state sales tax, and local municipalities have a sales tax as well. The Arizona state one is 5.6%, and the average of the local municipalities is 2.8% for a combined 8.4% on sales tax. That's not low. So that's one of the higher states throughout the country for sales tax. But let's get to the good news. The good news is property tax is extremely low. In fact, we are one of the top or I should say bottom states in the entire country for property taxes. You do not pay much on your property taxes. For example, I was just looking up a property yesterday. It depends what city you're in too as well, but I was looking up a property yesterday in Scottsdale for a client, and the property is listed at $950,000, and the taxes for the entire year, $2,810, the entire year. That is nothing compared to most states across the country. So that is very cool. When it comes to state income tax, this is also really good. As of January 1st of 2023, Arizona implemented a flat state income tax percentage rate of only 2.5%. That's right, guys, 2.5%, no matter how much you make or how little you make, 2.5% flat, which makes it the lowest state in the entire country when it comes to state income tax outside of those states that charge zero income tax. One more tax to be aware of in Arizona are rental taxes. That's right. The state of Arizona considers a landlord renting out an investment property to someone else a business, and therefore it gets taxed, and it gets taxed at the local city rate, which varies, but overall, plus or minus, it's around 2%. So for example, if you are renting a house out for $2,000 a month, you are going to pay as a tenant $2,040 if it's 2% of the gross monthly lease. So you're actually paying $2,040 a month, not $2,000 a month. And landlords will pass that on to the tenant. So just something to be aware of if you're a tenant looking to rent a house in the Phoenix area or any of the suburbs. So if you want to buy and avoid that rental tax, I think it's a great idea. Call me. I would love to help you out, find that property to get into, to buy and start building equity and long-term wealth for yourself and your family. So for states that have some sort of income tax percentage, Arizona is the lowest, number one. So that's awesome at 2.5%. So taxes, guys, overall, pretty good when coming to Arizona. So I hope we covered everything that you need to know if you're going to be moving to Phoenix or living in Phoenix, because this is the channel for everything Phoenix. So we included the things that were most important on your minds when it came to what you wish you would have known before you moved to Phoenix. So thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope this is very informative. Please give us 2 thumbs up, like us, and smash that subscribe button. Get us out to more and more people. We truly appreciate you. And don't forget, you can always call. We would love to have a one-on-one conversation with you, whether it's Zoom, in person, or on the phone, text, email, your choice, 480-660-5974, or email at info@cookandassociatesaz.com. And also, social media, DM me there. We are Instagram right here at Kelly Cook Homes, where we're putting out daily content, truly daily content, behind the scenes stuff that you may not be hearing elsewhere for your personal enjoyment and education, guys. And always, don't forget to call. We would love to chat with you. Call me.